You think you're a good person because you always show up, because you say yes, because you help. But let me ask you something that's going to sting. When was the last time someone showed up for you the way you show up for them? When was the last time someone rearranged their day because you asked? You can't remember, can you? That's not loyalty. That's not love. That's conditioning. You were trained to be available, and now you're stuck in a pattern you don't even recognize as a cage. Right now, someone is using your time and calling it friendship. Someone is taking your energy and calling it connection. Someone is draining your attention, and you're still wondering why you feel empty. Let me paint you a picture. You're at work. You stay late to finish a project. Your colleague leaves early again. Next week, your manager praises the team effort, but somehow your name gets lost in the mix. You say nothing, you smile, you tell yourself it's fine because you're not here for recognition, but deep down something feels off. Or maybe it's your relationship. They cancel plans last minute, you act understanding. They reschedule, you rearrange everything, they cancel again. You tell yourself they're just busy, that you're being mature by not making it a big deal. But the truth is, you're teaching them that your time has no value. Or maybe it's family. They call only when they need something, a favor, money, emotional labor. You give it, you always give it, and when you need something, silence, excuses, suddenly everyone's busy. You think this is just how life works. You think you're being a good person by staying soft, by being the one who understands, who bends, who forgives. But here's what's really happening. You were raised to be useful, not powerful. You were raised to serve, not to command respect. Your parents, your teachers, society, they didn't teach you how power actually works. They taught you to be obedient, to not make waves, to be helpful, to be nice. And now you're an adult, and you're still playing by those rules while everyone else is playing a completely different game. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli sat in exile and wrote exactly what you're experiencing right now. He watched men like you, good men, decent men, get crushed by the world because they didn't understand one simple truth. Power is not given to the moral, power is taken by the strategic. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach cruelty. He wrote it to describe reality. The reality that when you're always available, you become invisible. When you're always agreeable, you become forgettable. When you're always needed, you become a tool. And tools don't get respect, they get used. This video is going to show you 7 truths about power, attention, and respect that you were never taught. These aren't theories. These are patterns playing out in your life right now, today, this week. By the end of this, you'll understand why people treat you the way they do. You'll understand why being good hasn't gotten you what you thought it would, and you'll know exactly what to do differently. But I'm going to be honest with you, most people will click away before this ends, because these truths are uncomfortable. They require you to look at yourself and admit that maybe, just maybe, you've been complicit in your own diminishment. The fact that you're still here means something. It means you're ready to stop being prey and start being a strategist. So here's what you're going to do. Put your phone face down, close the other tabs. For the next few minutes, just listen. Because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see every interaction, every relationship, every power dynamic you're currently in. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. Now let's break down the truths you were never taught. First, understand this. The moment you became constantly available, you lost value in their eyes. You think responsiveness is a virtue. You think being the person who always answers, always helps, always shows up makes you reliable. It does, but reliable doesn't mean respected. It means predictable, and predictable means controllable. Think about how you treat your phone charger. It's always there, plugged in, ready, do you appreciate it? No, you only notice it when it's missing. That's how people treat you when you're always available. You've become infrastructure, essential but invisible. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He wrote that men are quick to change allegiance because they're driven by self-interest, not loyalty. When you're always there, they don't fear losing you, and without the fear of loss, there's no incentive to value you. Look at your relationships. The person who texts you at midnight and you respond immediately. The friend who only calls when they need something and you always answer. The colleague who asks for help and you always say yes. What do they all have in common? They don't respect your time because you've shown them they don't have to. Every time you drop everything for someone who wouldn't do the same for you, you're training them. You're teaching them that you'll always be there, so they never have to prioritize you. Here's the psychology behind it. Human beings assign value based on scarcity and effort. When something is abundant and easy to access, we devalue it. When something is scarce and requires effort, we elevate it. You are abundant, you are easy. So you are devalued. This isn't personal. It's not that people are consciously trying to disrespect you. It's that you've removed all friction from accessing you, and without friction, there's no appreciation. Think about the last time someone pursued you, called twice, sent a follow-up message, actually made an effort. It felt different, didn't it? That's because their efforts signaled your value to them. Now, think about how often you're the one doing all the pursuing, all the initiating, all the accommodating. You've reversed the dynamic. You've made yourself the chaser, and the chaser never has power. So here's your first power shift. Delay. When someone texts you, wait. Not because you're playing games, but because you have a life that doesn't revolve around their needs. When someone asks for a favor, don't answer immediately. Say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. Even if your schedule is empty, especially if your schedule is empty, because what you're really doing is reintroducing friction. You're making them wait. You're creating space where they have to wonder, will they say yes? That uncertainty is where respect grows. Next time someone reaches out only when they need something, take 6 hours to respond, then respond with a polite, brief answer. Watch how quickly their tone changes. Watch how suddenly they start adding pleasantries, checking in on you, investing just a little more effort. That's not manipulation. That's recalibration. You're teaching them that access to you has a cost. Second truth, your kindness is being weaponized against you. You think empathy is strength. You think understanding people's struggles, giving them the benefit of the doubt, being patient with their flaws, makes you a good person. It does, but it also makes you a target, because empathetic people are easy to manipulate. You see someone struggling and you want to help. Noble. But what you don't see is how many people have learned to perform struggle to extract resources from you. Time, attention, emotional labor, money. They've learned that if they come to you with a problem, you'll solve it. If they come to you with drama, you'll absorb it. If they come to you overwhelmed, you'll take on their burden. Machiavelli said it plainly, people will take as much as you let them. Generosity without boundaries isn't virtue, it's vulnerability. And the moment people sense you won't say no, they'll test how much you'll tolerate. Think about the friend who always has a crisis right when you have something important going on. Think about the partner who brings up heavy emotional conversations late at night when you're exhausted. Think about the co-worker who constantly needs help but never offers any in return. These aren't coincidences, these are patterns. They've learned when you're most likely to say yes, when you're too tired to push back, when your guilt will override your boundaries. Here's the deeper psychology. Manipulators don't target strong people. They target good people because good people feel guilty saying no. Good people internalize other people's problems. Good people believe that if they just try harder, care more, give more, things will get better. But they don't, because the dynamic isn't about the other person's need. It's about your inability to disappoint. Every time you sacrifice your peace to manage someone else's chaos, you're signaling that your well-being is negotiable. And once people know that about you, they'll negotiate it down to nothing. Here's your second power shift. Stop absorbing other people's emergencies. When someone comes to you in crisis mode, pause. Ask yourself, is this actually urgent, or is this just their pattern? Most of the time, it's a pattern. They're used to you dropping everything, so they don't plan. They don't manage their time or emotions because they know you'll do it for them. Next time someone unloads on you without asking if you have the capacity, say this: I can see you're going through something. I'm not in a place to hold that right now. Then stop talking. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Don't offer an alternative time unless they directly ask and you actually want to. Watch what happens. Some people will be shocked. They'll push back. They'll call you cold or selfish. That's a good sign. It means they were depending on your lack of boundaries. Let them be upset. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. The right people will respect it. They'll say, I understand, let's talk later. And those are the people worth keeping. Third truth: the more you explain yourself, the weaker you appear. You think transparency builds trust. You think if people understand your reasons, they'll respect your decisions. So when you say no, you add 3 paragraphs justifying it. When you set a boundary, you apologize and explain why you have to. When you make a choice, you seek validation by oversharing your thought process. But here's what's actually happening. Every word you add after your decision is a negotiation point. Every explanation is a crack they can pry open. Every justification signals that you're unsure, that you need their approval, that your no isn't really final. Machiavelli observed that princes who explain too much invite questioning. Authority doesn't justify itself. When you're secure in your power, your word is enough. When you're insecure, you scramble to prove you have the right to set limits. People sense that insecurity immediately, and they exploit it. Think about the last time you said no to something. Did you just say no? Or did you launch into a story about why you're busy, why you can't, why it's not personal, why maybe next time? Now think about how the other person responded. Did they accept it, or did they push back? Question your reasoning, try to problem solve around your excuse. They pushed back because your explanation gave them room to. You turned a closed door into a negotiation. Here's the psychology. When you over-explain, you're communicating that your boundary is fragile, that you're seeking permission to enforce it, that if they can just find the right angle, you'll cave. And often you do, because once you've laid out your reasoning and they've countered each point, you feel trapped. You feel like if you still say no, you're being unreasonable, but you're not. You were always allowed to say no. You just made it harder on yourself by trying to make them understand. But here's the thing, they don't need to understand, they just need to accept. Here's your third power shift. Stop explaining, practice saying no in one sentence. I can't make it. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available, period, full stop, no follow-up. When they ask why, and they will say, it just doesn't work for me. If they keep pushing, repeat it. It doesn't work for me. You'll feel rude. You'll feel like you're being cold. That's your conditioning talking. That's the part of you that was trained to prioritize other people's comfort over your own boundaries. Ignore it. The discomfort you feel is growth. It's you learning that you don't owe anyone access to your reasoning. Watch how quickly people stop testing you when they realize you're not going to engage in negotiation. The ones who respected you will accept it immediately. The ones who were using you will get frustrated and pull back. Good. You just filtered your life. Fourth truth. Silence is more powerful than reaction. You've been taught that communication solves everything, that if there's a problem, you talk it out, that if someone disrespects you, you address it, that if something bothers you, you express it. So you do. You confront, you explain how you feel, you ask for accountability, and what happens? They apologize maybe, they promise to do better, and then a week later, the same pattern repeats, because your words didn't create change. They created noise, and noise is easy to ignore. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But fear doesn't mean aggression, it means consequence. It means people believe that crossing you will cost them. And the most powerful consequence isn't anger, it's absence. When you react emotionally, you give people data. You show them what hurts you, what triggers you, what they can exploit. When you go silent, you give them nothing. Just a void where your attention used to be. That void is terrifying because people don't know what it means. Are you done with them? Are you planning something? Are you just busy? The uncertainty eats at them. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe they canceled plans last minute. Maybe they made a snide comment. Maybe they took you for granted. What did you do? If you're like most people, you said something. You told them it hurt. You asked why they did it. You tried to make them see your perspective, and maybe they apologized. But did they change? Probably not. Because your reaction showed them they could do it, and you'd stick around. You'd complain, but you'd stay. That's not a boundary. That's a request. And requests are optional. Here's the psychology. When you react, you're still engaging. You're still investing energy into the dynamic. You're communicating that despite their behavior, they still have access to you. But when you withdraw, when you stop initiating, stop responding with the same warmth, stop being available, you're communicating something far more serious. You're showing them that their behavior has a cost, and that cost is you. People can dismiss your words. They can't dismiss your absence. Absence forces them to sit with the consequence of their actions. It forces them to wonder if they push too far. It forces them to decide if they value you enough to change. Here's your fourth power shift. Next time someone disrespects you, don't say a word. Just pull back. Stop initiating. Stop being the one who reaches out. Stop accommodating their schedule. When they reach out, take longer to respond. Keep your replies short and polite but distant. Don't explain why. Don't announce you're pulling back. Just do it. Watch how quickly they notice. Watch how they suddenly start trying harder. Some will reach out asking if everything's okay. Don't explain. Just say, yeah, just been busy. Keep it vague. Others will double down on bad behavior trying to provoke a reaction. Don't give it to them. Let them scream into the void. Eventually, they'll either correct their behavior or remove themselves from your life. Either way, you win. Fifth truth. People don't respect you because of what you do. They respect you because of what you refuse. You've built your identity on being helpful, on being the one people can count on being generous with your time, your energy, your resources, and you thought that would earn you respect. But it didn't, did it? Instead, you're exhausted, you're resentful, you're surrounded by people who take, and somehow you're the one who feels guilty for wanting something back. That's because you never taught them where the line is. You never showed them what you won't tolerate. So they assumed there is no line. They assumed you'll tolerate everything. Machiavelli's entire philosophy rests on one principle: people are governed by fear and self-interest. They respect strength, not kindness. They respond to consequences, not goodness. When you do everything for everyone, you don't appear strong. You appear weak. You appear afraid to say no, afraid to disappoint, afraid to be alone, and that fear makes you predictable. It makes you easy to exploit. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Are they the ones who always say yes, or are they the ones who have clear boundaries, who say no without guilt, who don't bend themselves into shapes to accommodate everyone else? You respect them because they respect themselves. They've communicated through their actions that their time, their energy, their peace has value. And you believe them. Now think about how you show up. Do you communicate value, or do you communicate desperation? Do your actions say, "My time matters"? Or do they say, "Please need me because I don't know who I am when I'm not useful"? That's the real question at the heart of this video. Who are you when you're not needed? Can you sit with yourself? Can you enjoy your own company? Can you feel valuable without external validation? If the answer is no, then people sense that. They sense that you need them more than they need you, and that's why they don't respect you. Here's your fifth power shift. Start saying no to things you could do but don't want to. Not because you don't have time, and not because you have a good excuse, but simply because you don't want to. This will feel impossible at first. You'll feel selfish, you'll feel guilty, but push through it. Say no to the dinner you're not excited about. Say no to the favor that inconveniences you. Say no to the commitment that drains you, and don't explain. Just, "I can't make that work." Watch how your relationship with yourself changes. Watch how the constant background hum of resentment starts to fade. Watch how people, the right people, start to respect you more, because suddenly you're not the person who's always available. You're the person who has standards, and standards are attractive. Sixth truth. Your absence teaches faster than your presence. You keep trying to prove your worth by showing up more, by doing more, by being more available, more helpful, more understanding. You think if you just demonstrate your value clearly enough, people will finally appreciate you. But that's not how value works. The more visible something is, the less we notice it. The sun rises every day. Do you appreciate it? No. You only think about it when it's gone, when there's an eclipse. When the sky goes dark, then suddenly everyone's looking up. That's when you realize what you had. You are the sun in people's lives, and they've stopped looking up. They take your warmth for granted because it's constant. They take your light for granted because it's always there, and no amount of shining brighter will change that. The only thing that will make them look up is darkness, your absence. Machiavelli wrote about this in the context of princes and their subjects. A ruler who is always among the people loses mystique, loses authority, becomes too familiar, but a ruler who appears selectively, who withdraws, who makes his presence an event rather than a guarantee, that ruler commands attention, commands respect. You're not a ruler, but the principle is the same. When you're always in someone's life, they stop valuing it. When you step back, they suddenly remember what they had. Think about someone who used to be in your life consistently and then pulled back. Maybe they got busy, maybe they moved, maybe they just drifted. How did you feel? You probably thought about them more, wondered what they were doing, maybe even reached out more than you used to. Their absence created space for you to miss them, to remember the good parts, to want them back. Now think about how you show up. Are you giving people the space to miss you? Or are you always there, always initiating, always available, preventing them from ever feeling your absence? You can't be missed if you never leave. Here's the psychology. Human beings are wired to pursue what retreats and ignore what pursues. when you're always chasing, always available, always the one making effort, you trigger their avoidance instincts. But when you pull back, when you create space, when you become less accessible, you trigger their pursuit instincts. Suddenly, they're wondering why you're distant. Suddenly, they're noticing you're not texting first. Suddenly, they're putting in effort they never did before, not because they suddenly woke up and realized your value, but because your absence created a void they're uncomfortable with. Here's your sixth power shift. Disappear for a while, not dramatically, not with an announcement. Just quietly reduce your presence. Stop being the one who plans hangouts. Stop being the one who texts first. Stop showing up to every event. Focus on yourself, work on your goals, spend time alone, build something, and watch what happens. Some people won't even notice. Good, you just learned they were never really there. Others will notice and won't reach out. Good, you just learned they valued convenience more than connection. But a few, the ones who matter, they'll reach out, they'll check in, they'll ask where you've been. Those are your people. Those are the ones worth investing in. Everyone else was dead weight you've been carrying out of obligation. Seventh truth. The question isn't whether they need you. It's whether you need to be needed. This is the one that's going to hurt. Because everything I've told you so far, you could apply externally. You could blame other people for not respecting you, for taking you for granted, for using you, and sure, they play a part, but the real issue isn't them. It's you. It's the fact that somewhere deep down, you've tied your worth to being useful. Being needed gives you purpose. It gives you identity. It makes you feel important. And the thought of not being needed, of not being the one people call, of not being essential, that terrifies you. Because if you're not needed, then who are you? Machiavelli would tell you that this is the most dangerous position you can occupy. When your identity depends on external validation, on being useful to others, you have no power. Because the moment they don't need you, you collapse. Your entire sense of self evaporates. You become desperate. You start doing more, giving more, tolerating more, just to stay needed. And that desperation is exactly what makes you easy to control. People sense it, and they use it. Think about why you really say yes to things you don't want to do. Is it because you're generous, or is it because you're afraid of what it means if you're not? Afraid that if you stop being helpful, people will leave. Afraid that if you set boundaries, you'll be alone. Afraid that if you're not constantly proving your worth, you have none. That's not generosity, that's fear, and fear makes you weak. It makes you reactive. It makes you a puppet, dancing to other people's needs because you don't know how to exist outside of them. The people who have real power, real respect, real peace, they don't need to be needed. They're complete on their own. They help because they choose to, not because they need the validation. They show up because they want to, not because they're terrified of what happens if they don't. And that self-sufficiency is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are whole on their own, and they exploit those who are desperate for external completion. Here's your seventh power shift. Sit with yourself, alone, no distractions, no phone, no people, and ask yourself, who am I when no one needs me? If that question makes you uncomfortable, if you can't answer it, then you've found your real problem. You've outsourced your identity. You've let other people define your worth. And until you take that back, until you build a sense of self that exists independent of external validation, you'll always be easy to manipulate. Start building a life you don't need to escape from. Start developing interests, goals, skills, hobbies that have nothing to do with other people. Start enjoying your own company. and watch how your relationships transform. Because when you stop needing to be needed, people stop being able to use that against you. Now let's bring this together. If you've made it this far, you've seen the pattern. Everything you thought was making you a good person, being available, being kind, being helpful, being understanding, has actually made you controllable. You were taught that these were virtues, and in the right context, with the right people, they are. But most people aren't operating in good faith. Most people are operating from self-interest. And if you don't protect yourself, if you don't set boundaries, if you don't understand the game, you will be used. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was describing reality, the reality that power isn't moral. It's strategic, the reality that people respect strength, not niceness, the reality that if you want to stop being a tool, you have to stop acting like one. This doesn't mean become cold. It doesn't mean stop caring. It means care strategically. It means protect your energy. It means understand that not everyone deserves access to you, and the ones who do deserve it will respect your boundaries. They won't need you to overextend. They won't test your limits. They'll meet you where you are. If you don't apply these truths, nothing changes. You'll keep getting drained by people who don't value you. You'll keep resenting relationships you can't leave. You'll keep feeling invisible despite doing everything. But if you apply them, everything shifts. People become cautious around you. They realize they can't predict you anymore. They realize you have limits. And suddenly, mysteriously, they start respecting those limits. Tests drop off. Drama decreases. The people who were using you drift away. And the ones who remain, they're real. They're there because they value you, not because they need you. You'll feel different too, calmer, more in control, less reactive, because you're not constantly managing other people's needs at the expense of your own. You're not performing for validation. You're not terrified of being alone because you've learned to be with yourself. And that's the real shift. That's the real power. Not controlling others, but controlling yourself. Your reactions, your boundaries, your attention, your energy. So here's your challenge. Pick one truth from this video. Just one, the one that hit you hardest. The one that made you think about a specific person or situation in your life, and apply it today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. If it's about availability, delay your response. If it's about explaining, practice saying no in one sentence. If it's about absence, pull back. Just one action, one shift, and see what happens. You'll be surprised how quickly the dynamic changes when you change. If this video opened your eyes, if you felt something shift while watching it, you know what to do. Comment which truth hit you hardest and why. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're serious about understanding power, psychology, and how to stop being controlled, subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You're not the same person you were 20 minutes ago. You see the game now, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Welcome to the other side.